What's good, creative fam? Brandon Washington here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about all of the camera gear that I keep in my real estate listing bag. Now this is primarily going to be all the gear that I use when I'm going out and shooting real estate video. Now before we jump into the actual gear, I do need to give you guys kind of two little preamps with all of this information. First, this video that you're about to watch is actually a part of a much larger real estate training course that I'm actually releasing in about 2 weeks. This is all about how I shoot real estate videos, from the gear that I use to how I set it up to how I actually get the shots, the editing, and then I also go over all of the business stuff. If you're like a filmmaker who wants to make shooting real estate video more of a business, I have an entire module within the training course all about business. As I mentioned before, this course is coming out in just a little bit, so if you're interested in that, there are links down below in the description for you to sign up for early bird pricing to kind of pre-order it before it comes out, because after that the price will go up. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out the links down below in the description. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this module of what I keep in my real estate camera bag. All right, creative fam, so now let's go ahead and jump into what is in my actual real estate camera bag. So this is the bag that I typically take with me when I go shoot all of my real estate videos. So first we'll actually start off with the bag itself. So I use a in-case DSLR backpack. I like this backpack not only because it handles all the gear that I need, but it's actually super comfortable. It's got a lot of extra pockets, as you're gonna start to see here in just a few minutes as I break everything down. But the biggest reason why I choose to go with this bag over anything else is the fact that my DJI Ronin S, which is my gimbal of choice, actually fits in this bag built like this here. So in this big pocket here in the very front, you actually have a component that allows you to get to where your laptop area is, but I actually use this as a spot to actually hold my Ronin S. So as you can see, as I start to here just kind of pull this out, because the Ronin S actually breaks into two different pieces, it makes it super easy to store in here. And then I keep my little tripod holder piece right here that I can just screw into the Ronin S. And I love the fact that I have this right here. It lives inside of the actual backpack itself, which is very difficult to typically find. Typically you have to carry, you know, the gimbal as one thing and then your camera gear as another, but I love the fact that everything lives in this bag all together. So to me, that's one of the most important parts with this whole kit, is the fact that I can keep my entire gimbal in this bag and get steady shots. But now let's go ahead and jump into the main compartment, which holds most of the gear that I carry. Now, a lot of this you guys have already seen through the other modules of the training course, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how I keep it packed in here, what's the most important things to me, and all the gear and accessories that I like to take on every single real estate shoot. So when I open this up, you'll notice that right on the very top are two big pieces that I use on every single shoot, and that starts with this guy here. This is my camera of choice. This is the Canon EOS R. I pair this with the 16-35 2.8 L series lens. It's not the stabilized version. That's what I use the actual Ronin S for, but it is the 2.8 version, which is something that I like for when shooting in low light situations. I am using the traditional EF version, not the RF version of this lens. So that means I do have the EOS R to EF adapter on here. It adds a little bit of extra length to the overall package, but it's not really that big of a deal, and it balances perfectly fine on the Ronin S itself. I love this for a couple reasons. One, it has the flip out screen like this, so if I need to get some higher angles or lower angle shots when shooting real estate, which doesn't happen a lot, but if I do, I like the fact that I have that option right here. It shoots 4K, but I primarily use it in 1080p for all of my real estate stuff, and it shoots 1080p at up to 60 frames per second, which is all I need for those types of shoots. So that is the camera that I rock with. The next big piece here that you'll find is actually the DJI Mavic 2. This is my personal drone of choice. I use this drone for a lot of different things, not just real estate, but when it comes to real estate, I love the fact of how compact it is. It fits in this kit super easily, and I also love the fact that I can just fold it out and get everything up and going. I can shoot in 4K at up to 24 or 30 frames per second, and then
I can do 1080 at a couple different frame rates if I needed to do slow motion. But when it comes to real estate, you really don't need slow motion. So that's totally enough. I always keep a battery on here that's fully charged, ready to go. But next to this here, you'll notice that I do have a couple additional batteries in here as well. A lot of times when I go shoot real estate, I try to plan to shoot multiple houses in one day. So when realtors start reaching out to me about the upcoming week or about a couple weeks from now, I try to schedule all my houses on the same day if and at all possible. So yeah, I always keep extra batteries inside of my bag as well. Moving along, I guess I'll go ahead and break out this lens here. This is the Canon 50mm 1.2. I like having a tighter focal length, especially when I'm trying to get those detail shots inside of a house. And so having this lens is really crucial to me. Of course, I have the 16-35 lens on here, so I do get some zoom, and 35 a lot of times can give me the detail that I'm looking for. But if I really want to compress the background and really highlight or spotlight a very specific detail, I'll definitely throw on the 50 and grab those shots. The next thing I guess I want to talk to you guys about is my audio solution. And I did an entire module on this in the training course, but I like to use these guys here. This is the Rode Link Filmmaker Kit. It's just a wireless lavalier kit. So you have your transmitter and you have your receiver. I just attach this using the cables directly to the actual camera itself. This goes on the Talent, and that allows me to capture high quality audio. I'm actually using one right now to capture this audio. So if you had an idea of what that sounds like, this is pretty much what you're going to be able to get. Now, a couple other things that I keep in here. One, more accessories for the drone. This is the controller for the drone itself. I also like to keep some accessories in these little pouches right here. I love that this thing has pouches. So one of the big things I'll keep are extra batteries. I keep extra batteries in this pouch. And then when the batteries actually die, I move them into this lower pouch. They're harder to get to, which means they're dead. And that's kind of my little bit of a reminder so that I know that all my dead batteries are in this pouch. But then also in this pouch, I like to keep my SD card holder, which is one of my favorite accessories. This holds all the SD cards that I use. And as you can see in here, I have SD cards, full-size SD cards. I also have micro SD cards and then micro SD card adapters. And this is pretty much just my way of keeping track of all my SD cards. If an SD card has something on it that I don't want to actually write over, I will flip it upside down. So that's just a mental note to myself. Don't use this card, but anything that's face up, I know is fair game. So I like having this in the kit. The next thing that I like to have in here are my filters. Now, when it comes to filters, I have quite a few different filters for different occasions. So first, inside of my Tiffen filter case, this is just where you're gonna find a variable ND filter and a circular polarizer. So I like to have those here. So I have my variable ND filter right here. And then right next to it, I have my circular polarizer. These are individual filters, so I can only use one at a time. But also in here is where you will find all of my step up and step down rings. These just basically allow me to fit my existing filters to other lens types. So for example, my 16-35mm lens is an 82mm thread size. And so that's gonna fit perfectly with the filters that I have. However, if I want to use my 50mm here, this has a 72mm thread size. And so when using this lens with these filters, instead of having to buy multiple filters, I will just use this step down ring, which will allow me to actually thread this bigger filter onto this smaller lens. And this helps save a lot of money when it comes to buying filters. Now, as great as these filters are, and as much as I do enjoy them and I love them, the problem sometimes I run into is that if I want to use an ND filter, but I also want to use a circular polarizer, with this kit, that's not doable because you can only use one at a time on a lens. That is where these filters actually come into play. These are filters from a company called Sandmark. And with these filters here, you can actually have both at the same time. And what I mean by that is this one filter here by itself not only is an ND filter, but it's also a circular polarizing filter. The only difference is these are not variable. So this one is gonna have a set standard of ND, which in this case is a 32 ND. So this is going to cut out the light, but it's only gonna cut out that amount of light. You can't turn it and adjust that, but you can turn it for the circular polarization portion of it, so that way you can cut out the proper amount of glare or adjust the colors in your sky and things like that. So I absolutely love having these filters in. They both have their different case values of when I'll use one versus the other, but I like to have both of them in my kit. The very last thing that I have in this main pouch is this guy here. This is the DJI Osmo Mobile 3. This is the gimbal that I use whenever I shoot real estate videos using my iPhone. Now yes, even though I have all this awesome gear, real camera, a real gimbal, all these things that I would use to shoot a lot of professional style real estate videos, every so often I find myself in a situation where shooting with the phone might actually be easier and therefore better. And so I like to have the iPhone 11 Pro with its wide angle lens, which you could very well do the exact same thing with the iPhone 11 because it also has that same wide angle lens. You pair that up with this DJI Osmo Mobile 3 and it makes for a really awesome real estate capturing tool. There have been times where I've been shooting a house and because of maybe it has really big bright windows, which in one case, this is exactly the situation, the house had really bright windows and I could not get my exposure properly set on my actual camera because there was such a big shift between the bright lights outside or the bright windows coming from the sun and the interior. And so by using the Smart HDR, which the iPhone offers, it allowed me to actually get a better source of high dynamic range and be able to capture that image better. So in that situation, I broke out this gimbal, I got that shot with my phone, and then I proceeded to shoot the rest of the house just using my actual camera. And honestly, the real estate agent was none the wiser. So it was really awesome to be able to break this tool out. So this is something that I always keep with me no matter what. So this is everything that lives inside of my real estate bag. Anytime I'm going out to shoot real estate properties, this is pretty much what you're gonna find in my kit at any given moment because this is pretty much everything that you need. And I love the fact that everything fits into one spot. But there you have it. That's all the gear that I typically keep on me when I go to shoot a real estate property. In my opinion, a lot of this stuff you maybe don't necessarily need right off the beginning, but this stuff will last you a very long time. And so if you can build yourself out a kit like this, it's nice to be able to grab one bag and just go. The last thing that I do want to add on is, let's say you're in a situation where you decide that, okay, you want to shoot real estate video, but you also want to add, real estate photography to that. Well, that's what I like about this kit is that not only can I shoot real estate video with this kit, all I need to add is a tripod, which this bag does have a nice little tripod strap right here. So I can attach a tripod to the side of this, and now I'm actually good to go to shoot real estate photo and video because all the gear is pretty much the same. The only difference is when shooting real estate, I'm gonna use a tripod instead of a gimbal. And that's really the only difference that you have to think about when going out and switching back and forth between the two. But this is all the gear that I keep in my real estate bag when I'm going out and capturing high quality listing videos.
But there you have it, guys. That is all of the gear that I keep over in my real estate camera bag. If you are interested in learning about how I go about not only shooting real estate videos, but how I make a pretty good living and run a business all around shooting listing videos, I highly recommend you check out the links down below in the description. It goes over all of the detail, and as I mentioned earlier, you can sign up for early bird pricing right now, and that way you guys can get the best value for the budget. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely check out the links in the description. Lastly, next week is going to be a very real estate heavy week. So if you are someone who is interested in shooting real estate videos, I highly recommend you hit that subscribe button because next week I'm gonna be talking a lot about shooting real estate video, posting quite a few videos on it, and you're not gonna wanna miss those. So check out the links down below, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.